In an era marked by geopolitical tensions and shifting economic landscapes, India's burgeoning role as a global hub for American businesses has become increasingly evident. As U.S. companies aggressively expand their offshore operations, particularly in Indian cities like Bengaluru and Noida, the allure of a highly skilled workforce is proving irresistible even in the face of political challenges such as tariff disputes and immigration concerns. The trend is most pronounced in Bengaluru, where the concentration of tech giants is palpable. Companies like Google, Qualcomm, Nvidia, and Amazon have established significant operations in the region, drawn by the promise of a young, educated workforce eager to innovate. Apul Nahata, the vice president of engineering at Rapid AI, a Silicon Valley-based medical technology firm, remarked on the density of tech companies in his vicinity, highlighting the collaborative ecosystem that has emerged. "If I walk a half kilometer, I see Google, Qualcomm, Nvidia, Visa, Samsung, and Amazon right here." JP Morgan Chase leads the charge with a staggering 55,000 employees across multiple Indian cities, while even retail giants like Target and Lowe's have committed thousands of jobs to the Indian market. Despite the Trump administration's attempts to address the U.S.-India trade imbalance through tariffs and heightened scrutiny of immigration, these measures have not stymied India's ascent as a preferred destination for offshore operations. The U.S. trade deficit with India, currently pegged at $46 billion, has prompted President Trump to impose tariffs, a move that critics argue may do more harm than good. The reality is that many U.S. corporations are increasingly reliant on India's talent pool to fill skill gaps at home. Current projections estimate that the number of Indians employed by foreign companies could reach nearly 3 million by 2030. India's economic structure is adapting to accommodate this influx. In 2024, there were approximately 1,800 offshore corporate offices in India, predominantly owned by American firms. These centers generated around $65 billion in revenue and are expected to earn over $100 billion by the end of the decade. The demand for skilled labor is driving commercial real estate development in Indian cities, with around 50 new offshore centers opening in the past year alone. The Indian economy requires about 10 million new jobs annually to keep unemployment in check, and this growth in offshore operations is crucial in meeting that demand. Historically, the outsourcing model began in the 1990s when companies sought to capitalize on India's educated but cost-effective workforce. However, the landscape has evolved significantly. Today's offshore offices are not merely low-cost service providers, they function as integral components of American corporations, contributing to high-value functions across various sectors including engineering and technology. Indian salaries have risen, yet they remain competitive, typically about a third of their U.S. equivalents. The COVID-19 pandemic has further accelerated the trend of remote work, allowing companies to reassess their operational strategies. Perry Natarajan, CEO of Zinova consultancy that aids companies in establishing operations in India, noted, "During COVID, companies realized that they could have teams anywhere, and then people are equidistant from each other. This realization has prompted newcomers like Pure Storage to set up shop in Bengaluru, striving to replicate the collaborative environment of Silicon Valley." The implications for both the US and India are significant. India's capability centers are becoming essential for American businesses struggling to fill engineering roles domestically, with studies indicating that 1/3 of new engineering jobs in the US remain unfilled. Meanwhile, the increasing presence of American companies in India is reshaping the local job market and contributing to economic growth. Looking ahead, the trajectory of this partnership seems poised for continued growth. As American companies deepen their investments in India, driven by the need for a skilled workforce and the potential for innovation, the relationship between the two nations will likely strengthen even amidst political turbulence. The focus will remain on how both countries navigate the complexities of trade and talent in a rapidly changing global economy in a political climate rife with upheaval and uncertainty. The actions of leaders can reverberate far beyond their borders. Recent events in Argentina exemplify this phenomenon, as President Javier Milei has taken drastic measures to reshape the government, a tactic that has drawn both admiration and skepticism. His administration's approach, characterized by a metaphorical chainsaw to bureaucracy, signals a bold departure from traditional governance aiming to cut through red tape and financial instability that has plagued the nation. Milei, who has risen to prominence as a libertarian figure, advocates for sweeping economic reforms intended to stabilize Argentina's beleaguered economy. With inflation rates soaring and public trust faltering, his administration's aggressive stance has been portrayed as a necessary corrective. "We cannot afford to be held back by outdated systems that no longer serve our people," Milei asserted in a recent press conference. His commitment to radical change has resonated with a populace weary of economic hardship. Yet it has also raised concerns about the potential for chaos in such an unyielding approach. Meanwhile, in the United States, former President Donald Trump is navigating his own political strategies, seeking to maintain an advantageous position amidst a volatile electoral landscape. Trump appears to be implementing changes that not only consolidate his influence but also aim to keep opposition parties off balance. Analysts suggest that these maneuvers could create an environment that is challenging to reverse, thus entrenching his agenda within the political framework. The risk of making fundamental changes is that they can become permanent fixtures difficult for future administrations to dismantle, noted political analyst Maria Gonzalez. As both Milei and Trump pursue their respective visions, the implications of their strategies extend beyond national borders. The international community observes with bated breath. As these leaders navigate complex political terrains that could redefine relations and economic partnerships. The intertwining of Milei's radical reforms and Trump's calculated political maneuvers illustrates a broader trend: the rise of leaders willing to challenge established norms in pursuit of a new order. In a different context, the cultural landscape is also shifting, illustrated by Trump's renewed interest in reshaping the Smithsonian Institution. This initiative raises questions about funding and influence within one of the nation's most venerable cultural establishments. As the Smithsonian navigates its future, the intersection of politics and cultural representation remains a pressing concern. "Who funds these institutions ultimately shapes their narratives," commented historian Robert Klein, emphasizing the delicate balance between public interest and political influence. As these developments unfold, the implications for governance culture and international relations are profound. The actions of Milei and Trump mirror a growing trend where leaders adopt unconventional approaches to assert their influence. Moving forward, the global community will be watching closely, as the outcomes of these political experiments could signal significant shifts in power dynamics and governance models worldwide. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the era of traditional politics is being challenged, paving the way for a new chapter in leadership and governance. In an era where digital advertising is a cornerstone of the economy, the struggle to eliminate fake users from online platforms has intensified, revealing significant challenges for advertisers and tech companies alike. As businesses increasingly rely on data-driven strategies to target consumers, the persistence of fraudulent activity raises serious concerns about the integrity of online metrics and the effectiveness of advertising campaigns. A report from the Wall Street Journal highlights the inadequacies in current efforts to combat fake user accounts despite the proliferation of sophisticated detection technologies. Advertisers have invested heavily in tools designed to identify and eliminate fraudulent traffic, yet many remain frustrated as the problem persists. "It's like playing whack-a-mole," one industry insider remarked, emphasizing the continuous cycle of identifying fake users only to have new ones emerge almost immediately. The financial implications are staggering. Estimates suggest that digital ad fraud could cost the industry over $100 billion annually, a figure that underscores the urgency for effective solutions. As the landscape evolves, so too do the tactics employed by fraudsters. Increasingly, fake users are not merely bots but rather sophisticated networks that mimic genuine user behavior, making detection all the more challenging. This complexity complicates the verification process for advertisers, who are left to navigate a murky environment where genuine engagement can be difficult to ascertain. According to a recent survey, nearly 80% of marketers expressed concerns about the quality of their advertising metrics, indicating that trust in digital platforms is waning. The implications of this ongoing battle extend beyond just financial losses, they also impact consumer trust and brand loyalty. As users become more aware of fraudulent activities online, their skepticism towards digital ads grows, leading to a potential decline in engagement rates. This shift is particularly concerning as marketers strive to build authentic connections with consumers. If we can't guarantee that our audience is real, our entire marketing strategy is at risk, stated a marketing executive at a leading consumer goods company. In a broader context, the struggle against digital fraud reflects a fundamental challenge in the tech industry: balancing innovation with accountability. As platforms continue to evolve, the need for stricter regulations and more robust verification processes becomes increasingly apparent. Lawmakers and industry leaders are now being called upon to collaborate on a framework that addresses these challenges while fostering an environment of transparency. Looking ahead, the future of online advertising hinges on the ability of companies to adapt and innovate in the face of these persistent threats. The introduction of advanced machine learning algorithms and blockchain technology could offer promising solutions, enhancing the ability to track user authenticity and validate engagement. However, as the digital landscape continues to change, the fight against fake users is far from over. Industry stakeholders must remain vigilant and proactive in their efforts to restore trust and integrity in online advertising. Ensuring that the digital marketplace remains a viable and effective platform for all. In the ever-evolving landscape of international relations and technology regulation, the recent remarks from Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni have sparked significant discourse. Speaking at a summit, Meloni characterized the choice between American leadership under Donald Trump and European unity as a childish dilemma. Her comments come at a time when the European Union (EU) grapples with its regulatory stance towards major tech giants like Apple and Meta, reflecting a broader struggle to assert its influence on the global stage without igniting tensions with the United States. Meloni's rejection of a binary choice between Trump and Europe underscores the complexities of transatlantic relations. She emphasized the need for a more nuanced approach, arguing that simplistically aligning with either side overlooks the intricacies of geopolitics and the interconnected nature of global economies. We cannot afford to view our alliances through a childish lens. The world is too complex for that, Meloni stated, encapsulating a sentiment that resonates with many European leaders wary of the unpredictable nature of U.S. politics. This dialogue occurs against the backdrop of the EU's impending decisions regarding fines for tech giants under its Digital Markets Act (DMA). Reports indicate that the EU plans to impose minimal penalties on Apple and Meta in a bid to maintain diplomatic relations with the Trump administration. The move comes as Brussels seeks to enforce regulations designed to curb the dominance of these tech giants while avoiding a direct confrontation that could exacerbate trade tensions. As one EU official pointed out, the aim is to ensure compliance without provoking a backlash that could lead to retaliatory measures from Washington. The potential fines, which are expected to fall significantly below the maximum allowed under the DMA, reflect a cautious approach by the European Commission. This strategy seems to prioritize maintaining a functional relationship with the U.S., especially given Trump's previous threats to impose tariffs on countries that impose digital taxes on American firms. Further targeting U.S. tech firms will heighten transatlantic tensions, warned a source close to the negotiations, highlighting the delicate balance the EU must strike. In parallel, the tech industry, particularly within the realm of artificial intelligence (AI), finds itself at a crossroads as the Trump administration signals a shift in regulatory priorities. The recent engagement with AI companies about their policy preferences indicates a desire to expedite innovation at the potential expense of safety regulations. This pivot raises questions about the industry's commitment to responsible development in an increasingly competitive landscape, particularly as the U.S. seeks to maintain its technological edge against rivals like China. Critics argue that the rapid push for innovation could overshadow the necessary safeguards that ensure AI technologies are developed responsibly. There's a fine line between fostering innovation and ignoring the implications of that technology on society, cautioned Richard Waters, a technology correspondent. The implications of this rush could be profound. As evidenced by studies linking heavy AI use to increased loneliness and social isolation. As the EU navigates its regulatory environment and the US grapples with its political landscape, the future of international tech regulation remains uncertain. The interplay of diplomacy, economic interests, and technological development will undoubtedly shape the coming years as nations strive to assert their influence while grappling with the ethical implications of emerging technologies. The decisions made in the near future will not only impact the tech giants but also set the tone for global governance in an era marked by rapid technological advancement and shifting political allegiances. The world will be watching closely to see how these dynamics unfold and whether a more collaborative approach can emerge amidst the complexities of international relations. In a significant move underscoring the escalating geopolitical tensions in East Asia, Japan has unveiled its first comprehensive evacuation plan for civilians living on remote islands near Taiwan. Announced on March 28, 2025, this initiative aims to prepare for potential conflict scenarios amid growing fears of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan, a self-governing island that Beijing considers a breakaway province. The contingency plan involves mobilizing both ships and planes to evacuate over 110,000 residents and approximately 10,000 tourists from 5 islands in the Sakishima chain located in Japan's southwestern Okinawa prefecture. According to reports from the Kyodo News Agency, the evacuation process would be executed within 6 days, transporting evacuees primarily to Kyushu, one of Japan's 4 main islands, before distributing them to accommodations across 8 prefectures. Defense Minister Gen Nakatani emphasized the urgency of these measures, stating that he has sensed a strong sense of crisis among residents on the border islands. "I want to take all possible measures for the defense of our country," he remarked, reflecting the heightened anxiety stemming from China's increasing military pressure on Taiwan. Japan's government is also planning to deploy surface-to-air guided missile units on Yonaguni, an island situated just 100 kilometers from Taiwan, as part of its enhanced defense strategy. This proactive stance has been largely influenced by the shifting dynamics in international relations, particularly following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and the evolving nature of U.S. foreign policy under former President Donald Trump. As some local officials question Washington's commitment to defending Taiwan and its allies, the Japanese administration has taken steps to ensure its own security and readiness for potential regional conflicts. Despite not explicitly naming Taiwan in the evacuation plans, the implications are clear. Taiwanese media outlets have reported extensively on Japan's initiative, interpreting it as a direct response to the increasing threats from across the Taiwan Strait. "It feels more and more like a war," a reader commented on a local news report, illustrating the pervasive sense of unease. Amid these developments, former President Trump has been vocal about the perceived inequities in the Japan-US Security Treaty, claiming that it disproportionately favors Japan. In a recent statement, he expressed concerns about the treaty's lack of reciprocity, stating, "We have a great relationship with Japan, but we have an interesting deal with Japan that we have to protect them, but they don't have to protect us." As Japan grapples with these geopolitical realities, its Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi underscored the urgency of the evacuation plans by noting they were designed with the assumption that armed attacks were a possibility. Okinawa, which hosts a significant U.S. military presence of nearly 50,000 troops, is expected to play a crucial role in any potential military response to a crisis involving Taiwan. Additionally, Japan continues to contend with its own territorial disputes with China over the Senkaku Islands, further complicating the regional security landscape. As tensions continue to rise, Japan's evacuation plans signify a critical shift in its defense posture, reflecting the complex interplay of international relations in the Asia-Pacific region. The unfolding situation warrants close monitoring as the potential for conflict looms. raising questions about the future of U.S.-Japan relations and the broader implications for regional stability. The coming months will likely reveal whether these preparations are a prudent measure or an unnecessary escalation in a fraught geopolitical climate. In a compelling reminder of the evolution of hurricane research and forecasting, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) recently highlighted its historical journey with the Research Flight Facility (RFF) that was pivotal in understanding these destructive storms. Originally situated at Miami International Airport, the RFF operated from 1961 until its relocation to MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa following damage from Hurricane Andrew in 1992. The facility was then renamed the NOAA Aircraft Operations Center in 1974. Just 4 years after NOAA was established as a federal agency under the Department of Commerce. This significant restructuring underscores the agency's commitment to enhancing hurricane prediction and response. The facility's role has been crucial in the development of advanced meteorological tools and techniques. Since its inception, specialized aircraft have been utilized to gather vital data, significantly improving forecasts for hurricanes that routinely threaten the U.S. coastline. Initially staffed by civilian test pilots, the facility transitioned to being operated by NOAA Commissioned Corps officers in the 1970s, cementing its status as a leader in atmospheric research. The origins of the RFF can be traced back to the aftermath of a particularly devastating hurricane season in 1954. A group of approximately 20 scientists and technicians formed the National Hurricane Research Project (NHRP) at Morrison Air Force Base, driven by the need for more precise weather forecasting. This project was directed by Robert Simpson, co-inventor of the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, marking a transformative moment in the field. The NHRP's efforts were groundbreaking, involving collaborations among meteorologists, researchers from various universities, and U.S. Air Force personnel who conducted reconnaissance missions into tropical storms long before the advent of modern predictive technologies. By 1959, the NHRP had merged with the Miami Hurricane Forecast Center, evolving into what is now the NOAA National Hurricane Center. The legacy of the RFF is embodied in a sign that once marked its entrance, now displayed in a conference room at the Aircraft Operations Center in Lakeland, Florida. This sign serves as a poignant reminder of the agency's mission to unravel the complexities surrounding hurricanes. Today, NOAA's Aircraft Operations Center continues to conduct flights that deepen our understanding of tropical cyclones, collaborating closely with researchers in academia, government, and the military. Over the years, these efforts have culminated in more than 1,000 hurricane and tropical storm observing flights, yielding invaluable insights into the environmental impacts of these storms. This comprehensive approach has led to significant advancements in forecasting techniques, ultimately enhancing preparedness and response strategies for hurricane-prone regions. As NOAA progresses into the future, the agency's commitment to hurricane research remains steadfast. With ongoing advancements in technology and methodologies, there is a clear path towards even more precise forecasting capabilities. The journey from the original research flight facility to the present day illustrates not only the evolution of meteorological science but also the critical importance of continued investment in understanding and mitigating the impacts of hurricanes on communities across the United States. As climate change continues to influence storm patterns and intensities, the role of organizations like NOAA will be more crucial than ever in safeguarding lives and property in the face of nature's fiercest challenges.